What's up, and welcome back to another Disorderly Sports Report. My name is Nick Risner, and we are coming off, probably the best weekend of football that I've ever seen. I mean, everyone's talking about it. All 4 games ending with a last-second game winner. The first 3 games ending with a game-winning field goal by the underdogs. So that means, of course, in turn, that the Titans, the Packers, and the Bucs are all now out of contention. I'm sure that destroyed a number of futures that people had money on, and that really just leaves the Chiefs as the standalone, favorite type team that's still in the mix. I suppose you could throw the Rams in there too, but if you were to ask most people honestly, it's probably going to be either the Packers or the Bucs representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, right? So it's still pretty mind-blowing to know that neither of those teams even made it to the championship weekend. Now, it's been a few days. I'm not going to waste anyone's time recapping last week's games, because if you're listening to something like this, I'm sure you've already binged all the sports talk, talking head shows. You've replayed the highlights, heard all the insane stats, like the fact that the Bills and Chiefs combined for 25 points in the final 2 minutes of the game, or that Dak Prescott's QB draw took longer than Mahomes' game-tying drive. By the way, was it really necessary for everybody to just continue to dunk on the Cowboys again this week? I think it was at least mentioned in passing in all 4 games this weekend. Just let me die peacefully, all right? It's the offseason for us. Let's move on. You can make fun of us again next year. Enough. Anyway, this weekend, we've got the Bengals and the Chiefs in the early window and the 49ers and the Rams to close things out with, of course, a Super Bowl bid on the line. So let's just start with the first game. The Cincinnati Bengals, this year's team of destiny, they're set to square off against one of the very best teams that the NFL has to offer. Plain and simple, right? Josh Allen went 27 for 37 last week, 329 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks. The Bills scored 36 points, and they still lost to the Chiefs. Add in the 2 playoff games they've already won, and the Chiefs are now 11 for their last 12, with wins over the Packers, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Steelers, and the Bills, all playoff teams. They beat the Eagles too, technically, a playoff team also, technically. But yes, they're 14-5 on the season, 11-1 in their last 12 games. But do you know who that one loss was against? The people of Cincinnati certainly do, because on January 2nd, Week 17, the Cincinnati Bengals managed to defeat the red-hot Kansas City Chiefs 34-31. And they did it on the back of a nearly perfect Joe Burrow performance. He went 30 for 39, 446 yards, and 4 touchdowns. No picks. Statistically, an even better performance than Josh Allen this past weekend. Now listen, the Bills also beat the Chiefs during the regular season, but the important distinction there is when they beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs were just a 500 team. They entered the Bills game with a 2-2 record, all sorts of questions. When the Bengals beat the Chiefs had just won 8 in a row. That's a very different accomplishment. And the Bengals do have something cooking right now. Joe Burrow just wins. It's what the guy does. Everyone in the country, at least everyone who no longer has a horse in the race, is seemingly rooting for Cincinnati right now, right? Especially against the big bad Chiefs, a team that's already basically been crowned as this dynasty, even though they haven't really won the rings to warrant that. Yeah, I get it. Listen, they're in the mix every year, I understand. But the general public, the people who are not involved in these games, have to be rooting for Cincinnati, right? And you do have Jamar Chase, who is obviously capable of breaking a game wide open. He did just that the first time these two teams met. He hauled in 11 catches, 266 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Those are insane numbers. If he can do anything even close to that, I don't care how many weapons the Chiefs have. But, the Chiefs are fucking scary. They just are. I'm sorry. Tyreek Hill is every bit as explosive as Jamar Chase. Plus, you've got Travis Kelce. Byron Pringle's been having a great year. Mecole Hardman can burn you. Oh, and worth noting, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was actually injured in the first game. He's back. You have to add that factor in, too. They'll have a little extra help in their run game. Oh, and did I mention Patrick Mahomes? One of the most creative and talented quarterbacks we've ever seen. You can hate his TikTok brother and his fiance all you want. This dude wins football games. It's what he does. So while I will unabashedly be rooting for the Bengals, I'm just having trouble seeing it as a reality. I hope I'm wrong, obviously. I really do. It's just really hard for me to imagine, the Cincinnati Bengals just beat this version of the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they did it, a few weeks ago. Now let's get into the NFC Championship, a game between 2 in-division rivals, the battle for California, the San Francisco 49ers at the LA Rams. Of course, the Super Bowl is set to be played in LA. So either way, the NFC will have a pretty substantial home field advantage over the AFC champion, possibly even a home game for the Rams, obviously. But let's dive in. The 49ers are coming off a wild playoff run. They had a billion opportunities to beat the Cowboys, nearly squandered the game away. Don't worry, 49ers fans, I promise you the Cowboys will always find a way to screw it up worse than you, so you advance there. Then you upset the number 1 Green Bay Packers, something that I absolutely did not see coming. A bit of a weird box score. Aaron Rodgers failed to score a single touchdown. He basically only threw to 2 guys, Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones, 9 catches apiece. Alan Lazard and Mercedes Lewis caught the only other 2 receptions of the game. Mason Crosby went 1 for 2 because, of course, a missed Mason Crosby kick would somehow have contributed to this game. But the more perplexing side of the box score for me is actually the San Francisco side. Because if you had told me that Jimmy Garoppolo would only go 11 for 19, 131 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and then Deebo Samuel and Eli Mitchell would combine for less than 100 rushing yards, I mean, in what world does that equate to a game that's good enough to take out the number 1 seed Green Bay Packers? But I guess that's how it's been for the 49ers so far, grinding it out, winning weird games, winning games weird, if that makes sense. Do I think that'll work against the Rams right now? No, but I didn't think they'd beat the Cowboys. Definitely didn't think they'd beat the Packers. Alas, here we are. Plus, the Rams and the 49ers, they did meet twice this year. The 49ers beat them twice. And even though this makes no logical sense, that tells me that the Rams are due for a win. I'm going with the Rams, leaving us with the Rams versus the Chiefs in a Super Bowl. And the score of that game will probably be like 100-99. But if this weekend has taught us anything, I have no idea who's actually going to win these games. I mean, this postseason's been pretty goddamn unpredictable so far. But hey, that's it. Enjoy championship weekend. Thank you for listening. Peace.